Right. Well, this is the first time that I mean, I've done podcasts for years. I've done podcasts. I just looked it up 15 years ago. I did my first podcast.
Oh my God, that's longer than me.
It's a long fucking time. And this is the first time I'm doing my own personal podcast. And I figured, like, I was on a live stream yesterday on my YouTube channel, and I was like, you know, it'd be cool to just talk to different people, because I know a lot of really interesting people. And it turns out that the first person who I could get a hold of that was like, yeah, I'm down, is a good friend of mine. And the reason why I'm putting this on my YouTube channel is because you guys and gals know who he is. Like, you're familiar with it, because in our community are the same.
Maybe a couple of them.
Maybe several of them might know who you are. And we'll talk a little bit about our history, because I feel like our history is really interesting, and then also some of the other things I've always wanted to talk about. This is John Prosser from Front Page Tech.
Hey!
And I consider
what
him a friend.
an honor! What an honor! You're bringing up like a personal podcast back, and I'm the first person. I'm your first episode. That feels crazy.
I am the virgin, and you are taking everything.
Hopefully, I don't
me.
mess it up for you.
We should talk about our first times at some point, but I do want to talk just in general about life and stuff, man. Like in doing this, I wanted to kind of. I think the problem that I have right now, and I said this on my live stream yesterday. So I did a live stream. For those who don't know, I did a live stream yesterday, and I just kind of vomited everything that I've been going through the last year or so. Mm-hmm. And my channel's in a weird place, John. So, as you know, as you're fully aware, I have a tech channel, but my passion for tech is kind of like not really there anymore.
I feel that so hard.
So you see, I'm glad you say this, because I feel like for me, at one point I was like, is there something wrong with me? And no. I don't think that's it. I am feeling very like when I see these channels. So John and I talk back and forth through text every so often, and we'll talk really hardcore for like maybe like an hour or so about something specific. Like the one time we were talking about the YouTuber that does scam baiting.
Oh yeah, you
right.
introduced me to that. Yeah,
right. And I was like, I love this, and this feels meaningful. But when I talk about an iPhone, who cares? Right?
Yeah.
And you had some really interesting things to say during that conversation. But what I want to bring up first is what you said to me in a text yesterday, which is not necessarily the first time you've ever said this to me, but I really want you to expound upon it. You said you almost feel like we're the same person at times. What does that mean?
Oh, man. What a thing to unpack right away. Okay. So I feel like we have so much in common, but like quietly. And it's so odd, because it's not just that we have a lot in common, but it seems that we go through very similar things at the same time without knowing.
Interesting.
So, like, okay, obviously, I don't really have an outlet to talk about life or things that I feel and believe in life. That's just not I don't have a place to do that. And it's not that I want a place to do that either. Because I'd like to be a private person too, for the most part. Like if it's tech related and stuff, sure. Like I have no problem with that. But it's real life stuff that I try to just. I'm not afraid of being judged, but it's just like this is for me, and so I don't talk much about stuff. And then you were mentioning things on your stream yesterday. One about your lack of interest in something that consumed you for years, right? The tech content, the tech space, and stuff like that. But then on top of so already I'm like, oh, dude, I feel that so hard. And then you say, I don't know what it is about me, but I get like really interested for just like 4 months, and then I don't care. I know everything there is to know, and then I don't care. That's literally me. I become an expert in something, and then I'm like, who cares? And then I'm done with it. I move on to the next thing.
So true.
And yeah, you're just like. Also, your discussion of just a peace with life and thinking and like not just thinking but believing that, and this isn't even, that's the tough part, and you did a much better job than I think I could. Not even in a religious stance,
right?
Because I'm not a religious person like at all.
Yeah.
But just a feeling of. There's obviously more, and we just don't know. Humans are stupid, dude. Like,
yes.
We are so stupid and naive.
Yes.
And even the smartest version of us is still exponentially stupid.
Yes.
And So to walk around thinking that we have answers that we definitely don't have is like that's like
So true.
That's the thing that really has my attention the most right now is like humanity. And yeah, it was just so interesting to hear you talk like that. And I have not said a single word about that stuff to anybody. And then here you are saying it on a live stream. And it's just one of those reminders that we're like the same exact person. We just don't even know it or talk about it. Like we didn't talk about this in advance at all.
No. It's like you're singing you're killing me with your song.
Yeah. Like
killing me softly with this song. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even. It's crazy. So, yeah, to be your first guest on a podcast where we can actually talk about this stuff, it feels pretty good. What an honor.
And I love that. I mean, I already knew going into this, you're not really the type of person that is overly heavily guarded. And you and I have a unique relationship where we talk about just random shit anyway, especially through text. Like we talk about wrestling more than anything else. By the way,
yeah, it's the best.
I'm going to start pulling the curtain slightly back on our relationship a little bit more here. And one of those things is texting. Like we don't text all the time, but we text every once in a while. And when we do, a lot of times it gets hot and heavy, right?
Till like 4 in the morning.
Something silly, right? So your phone etiquette is interesting. I'm not going to say bad.
Oh, this should be good.
This is going to be good. Because there have been moments in our back and forth friendship that like you didn't respond. And I know that there's other things going on. I'm not really talking about, a couple years ago, but more recently.
Okay.
Recently, I added you to a group text with Jonathan Morrison so we could all talk about wrestling because we're big pro wrestling nerds. And you have not replied at all. We were both waiting for you to say something.
I'm going to be honest. I don't even I didn't even know that happened.
What do you mean you don't know that happened?
That makes it work. Have I responded in it?
No. We're
Okay.
sitting there both going, we're waiting for you to respond. This was like 2 weeks ago.
When was this? Huh. Okay.
I'll tell you the exact date.
I definitely believe you. Let me see.
I want to, because, and I'm not even
now to do this, keep in mind, I have to scroll past all the other threads I have ignored.
Oh, the other bullshit. All right, 8/12 is the last time that I sent something. We've been waiting for you to respond.
I found it.
You found it? Okay.
Yep, I found it. Oh my God, you guys had like a whole conversation in here.
We were waiting for you.
What the hell?
So Jonathan Morrison is another incredible guy, which we can definitely talk about. I'd love to get him on here too. But he also has a thing with like texting where it's very hard to get it back from him. But
it must be the Johns.
It is the Johns. But he was going back and forth with me. I'm like, oh shit, this is the opportunity. And then you go out of sync. And then I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
now you respond and then he won't.
I lost Jomo's text for like a year. So yeah. Yeah, I went from like not talking to him for I saw him about a year ago, like went and saw him and hung out with him a bit. Mm-hmm. We went out to dinner and just like to thank him for his generosity throughout the years and his advice and stuff. Yeah. I paid for his dinner, and then he just didn't talk to me for a year. So I was like,
but that's the way it is with him.
Yeah. Clearly, we're all going through. Everyone's going through shit constantly. Yeah. But it's interesting how we what our natural reactions to that. Like when I'm going through stuff, that's the first thing that goes for me is like. And it's not that I'm trying to hide or ignore anyone. It's just that like my mental bandwidth doesn't exist at that time for like attention towards me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's I don't know why, but that's like that's the first thing that goes if I'm deep into something.
I think everyone has a different way of protecting themselves once they feel overwhelmed by something.
Mm-hmm.
For you, it's kind of like pulling back a little bit. And by the way, completely normal. Lots of people do that. I probably do that to a certain degree as well.
Yeah, like I keep my phone away from me. Like when things are just for me in particular, not just with text messages and stuff, but when I'm in a certain state of mind and I can't stop myself from opening Twitter or X or whatever, and then that place bothers me, and then so it's just like best for me to disconnect, which is something that's very new for me because obviously, our lives and our jobs have required us to be not disconnected at all for any amount of time. Yeah,
and yeah. It's funny because before I was a creator, and I was just watching YouTubers talk about things like this. I'm like, bro, you have like the perfect job. Like you just get to be yourself and then do it and get paid and do the things, and I've got to go to work. And it's like, well, yes and no. Because you have to do things completely differently. This is some of the stuff I really am excited to talk to you about, like everyday life as a YouTuber. Because while we are human, and we'll definitely go back into like the life thing, because I want to talk about life and death thing too. But before we get there,
oh God,
being a YouTuber is interesting because it puts you in a situation where you have to be extra vigilant about, for example, things you post. So I'll give you an example. And you were the first person to really learn me this lesson. You've learned me a lot of lessons over the last couple of years. And that was when I was out and about with Nathan, and we were taking pictures. I was taking pictures somewhere, and there was like a reflection, and you could see me in the reflection. I didn't even know. It was like a reflection of off a window with me and Nathan or something. And I think it's because I was holding, I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I was like holding something, and it looked weird in the reflection. But I posted the picture just thinking, oh, you're going to look at the thing I took a picture of, not the reflection off on the side. And you started immediately clowning me on Twitter. I'm like, what the flip, bro? and I'm like, what is this? So, okay. So then after that, I'm like, okay, so I just have to be a little bit careful, right? So no lie, a couple years later, took a picture of Nathan, a dearly departed dog of mine. And immediately within 2 minutes, someone DM'd me and goes, hey, you might want to take a look at that. His leash collar has your address and phone number on it. I'm like, shit, because it's the one where you go missing. And I was like, it wouldn't even cross my mind.
Yeah.
And it came to the point where I'm like, when I'm shooting videos outside, I'm like, can you see the street? No. Is there anything on my desk when I'm doing a video? Yes or no? You know what I mean? Like all these paranoid things because people are crazy. And
no one has doxed me more than I have doxed me.
I was about to say this. I say all of this because while nothing bad has happened to me, weird shit has happened to John Prosser. I would love to hear about some of the weirdest shit that has happened because of this. Things like this.
Yeah. So for some reason, it's weird because technically, there's more. Front Page Tech has more attention than it ever has before.
Yeah.
But things are pretty chill. Like no one gives me any problems. It's been a while since I've had like a weird thing happen to me, but early on, like very early on, so 2014, 15, 2016-ish, I think it was just one person, but I kept having weird things where specifically my utilities would get turned off.
Insane.
Like someone would call and claim that they're me and say that I'm moving, I don't need the service anymore, and just in the dead of winter, no electricity, no heat, and then you have to like call and convince them to come. First of all, that wasn't a real call that they received the first time. That definitely wasn't me. I'm definitely still living here. Right. And they're like, sure, we'll come turn it on. How's tomorrow? Like, bro, there is 18 million inches of snow outside right now. No, not tomorrow. They're like, well, we don't have anyone tonight. Like, you can't, unless you want to pay a $30 fee for us to drive a truck out there and come turn it on. God. Okay, I guess so. What's my other option?
Exactly.
Be called? So, yeah, it's just weird stuff like that. Been swatted, which wasn't great.
I mean, that's the scariest thing. So a neighbor of mine got swatted. It wasn't even me.
A neighbor?
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, what? So
like, did they think it was you?
No. I don't know. I don't know what the full details were because they never really tell you. But someone who was walking around was like, oh, yeah, some high school kid swatted another kid or something like that, I think. So tell us what that's like. Like, what is happening? What were you doing? Walk us through that whole process.
So it's like I'm living in an apartment at the time, and it's like 10:30-ish p.m. And I never go to bed before then, but this night I was just brushing my teeth. I was in the bathroom, door open, and I just hear banging on the door. And I kind of knew right away. It had never happened to me before, but there's only so many options, when that happens. And so I calmly open the door, and I'm scared, but not like I know things are going to be okay.
Okay.
I just initially scary. And they come in, everyone's got guns.
Oh my God.
They want me to sit against the wall. So like back against the wall, drop all the way down, I don't make any sudden movements while they just browse the apartment. And all I said was like, hey, because I understand what's happening. They don't. They're scared too, right? They think that that there's something bad happening in this place. So just call me. I'm like, hey, I know you got to search through stuff. Like if you open a closet and there's a cat in there, like, you know, they're just hiding because they're scared. So don't, like, you know, I don't want you guys to get scared and then pull a trigger and stuff like that. So they searched through stuff, obviously found nothing. I supposedly had a woman hostage, in case you were wondering.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
They didn't find a woman being held hostage there. Shocker, I know.
Shocker.
Not that night. So
you got away with it every other time.
Yeah. So they when they realize that there's no signs of anything bad happening in there at all, and they don't find a person that's being held hostage, and they see me being calm, they're like, okay, like what's going on?
Right.
And so I got to like, at this point, I still don't know what happened, so I'm just like, hey, I have I'm a personality online. I'm not insanely popular, but I have people that don't like me, and that's the only thing I can think of. And so it's sort of, I don't know if I doubt that they had any like swattings previously. It just didn't seem like the town that would happen.
Yeah.
But I think they understood what happened. So from there, every time I move, it's called marking your address as a place of interest. And so everywhere I move, you know, I just tell the local police station, this has happened before, this is my address. And it kind of seems like the rule there is like, if someone calls, they will call you.
Yeah.
But what if I was like, like that's just now you could call if I am doing something terrible and be like, oh no, don't worry about it, guys.
No, I'm not. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, no reason to come over. But yeah, it's just like just a small like annoyance. I haven't dealt with anything crazy in quite a bit of time, at least that I can remember. Things have been pretty smooth and easy, and I don't know if I wonder if that is just a me thing or if that has sort of died down on the internet overall.
Personally, if I had to guess, as like a viewer of yours, because, you know, when I look through all my YouTube subscriptions that I have, there's only 2 tech channels I'm subscribed to, and only one that I watch every single video of, which is your channel. And that's not
Let's
to blow
go.
smoke.
What
That's
an
just
honor.
the truth. It's just the truth.
Oh man.
I think it's because I feel like your vibe has changed over the last year and a half. Purposefully. But I also think that you probably don't have as many people, you know, feeling a certain way about you because you're not really combative anymore. You know, there was a time when I first met you that even though I don't think you were meaning to be combative, it definitely came off as combative. And that's how we met, actually. So we should probably tell that story briefly. So I was just starting out on YouTube, and you were known to friends of mine, Viper and Jeff and stuff, that you know, you had you know, your YouTube channel was doing well. I think at the time you had like 50,000 subscribers, which is, you know, great. But you were, I think, you're performing well over what most 50,000 subscriber channels do. So you were well known, right? And they were like, this guy knows how to do his thing. And I was arguing for, you know, search-based content and stuff because that's what I had learned, you know, growing my own channel. And you were like, no, you got to do personality-based stuff. And we kind of went back and forth. And then at some point it went to DMs. Like somehow you started DMing me.
That sounds right.
I know, right? You started my DMs. And I'm a type of person that will, even if I think someone's wrong about something, I listen to them. And I consider what they're saying. And I try to see if there's a logical standpoint behind or something behind it, then let me see. And, you know, you had challenged me to do a particular type of content. And I did. I did like, I remember I did like 2 videos that were this newer type of content, which was more personality based. And they did well. And I'm like, okay, I kind of see something to this. So the way that, you know, you were right, but it was just that, like, the way that you were saying it was kind of rubbing me the wrong way. And rubbing people
yeah,
wrong.
that's so cringe, dude.
I think that's what it was. I think you would say things when you were right that would come off abrasive. But
that's
that was
the worst part.
charm.
If I know I'm right, I was just... sorry, dude. I was such an asshole. Oh, my God.
I don't think so. I mean, listen, you definitely had the perception of being a bit of a grumpy Gus. But in knowing who you are now, I feel like there are times you could call me and I'd probably be in the same side. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's we can always be caught like that. And, you know, you are also probably... It's this cyclic thing. There's this guy on YouTube that's kind of going through the same thing where he's... he had a past where he was very divisive and very controversial and also very against his own community. And now he's trying to be the opposite guy. And some people won't let him live that down. There are these hater groups and stuff that are doing that.
Yeah.
And I feel like you, though, because you're so smart about and intentional about everything you do, that you kind of knew how to slowly, as you matured, make your content mature. And now it's completely different. Your content's different. It doesn't have the vibe of, I'm right, you guys are wrong, you're stupid, blah, 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 blah. Even though you never had to say that, that's how it came across. It's not the case anymore. It's more like a showcase of what's going on and some humor and stuff. So I wonder if that has something to do with it.
Yeah. So obviously, I think over the last year, and I'm going on 12 years of making this show in particular, Front Page Tech, so quite a bit of time. Yeah. And I think this past year has been the biggest year of personal growth, which is odd because you wouldn't expect that to happen 12 years into it, you know. But I don't think I have taken a step back to look at like the bigger picture, overarching change that has happened, like to me and with the channel, and to hear you talk about, you know, things being different now compared to what they were. I don't think I have taken a second to identify that or, I mean, I can definitely say it was intentional and on purpose, but it definitely wasn't planned to happen this way. It just kind of did because the way I thought about life changed. It kind of goes about how we were just talking about, like, there's just a greater peace that I have now. And I think that, you know, when that happens to you personally, that changes someone. And I think I don't think it was so much that the content changed. I think it was just that I changed. And I don't know how to be the guy that was so abrasive and, like, I know I was just, all I was doing, I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I was trying to put on a good show. And I thought, you know, maybe I did that a couple times and it just worked for me, so I got addicted to that feeling. I'm not sure, but that was like my thing for a while. It was either, you know, cause arguments and try to be right with individual people like you or like Jason from Painfully Honest Tech. Couldn't tell you how many times he and I went at it for no reason. Right. We would have live streams and debates and like stuff that was not important. There was no reason to argue about that stuff, but we did it anyway, and we did it in front of people. It was so goofy. And I'm just not that way anymore. Kind of like you were saying about you, that you can, even if you think someone's wrong, you can take a step back and just hear them out. That is something that I have gotten recently. I didn't have that. I don't think I had that quality for a long time, and I think part of that is just because you're so hungry. You know, you want to work this out. You want this to work, and I've been doing it for so many years where nothing was working, nothing was budging, and I felt like I had the chip on my shoulder, like I had to prove myself, and I don't feel that anymore. I don't feel the need to prove myself. And that's just not what I want to be known for. And when people think of my name, I don't want them to think of that. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a change as a person, I think. And I'm 30 now. It would have been cool if it happened any earlier than this. Earlier at all.
Well, but I mean, that 30 is when usually shit starts to make sense to you. I mean, it's just the way life is.
When you realize you're not invincible.
Mostly that. But I think the other thing is that, and you have to take this into consideration, is that you grew up in front of us, like on camera, which is not normal for most people. God. So, and the other thing is, like, you grow up in this weird situation in very formidable years where your life experience and your life kind of vision of what you think should be is heavily influenced by social media, which is a very disconnected thing. Social media is this fake thing that has real people involved with it, but who sometimes act fake, which is part of the problem. So when you yourself are growing as a human, trying to get human experiences, but most of those big experiences are happening online, it changes you in a weird place until you step back and go, what is really life about? Like, what is life? What is not this bullshit we're doing? So do you think, if you were to think back over the last, however, let's say decade or so, are there things and things you've done or said or whatever that you really either regret or wish you could just do over again, like completely? Or do you think those things made you who you are now?
It's a double-edged sword because I know that they did.
Yeah.
Like there's so much about my life You know, to people that have been close to me, they've heard me say this before, but early on in my life, I went through a lot of bad, very early. You know, I was 14 when my mom died. Dad committed suicide a year later. Then a couple years after that, my grandma has cancer for like the 4th time. I get custody of my little brother when I turn 18. Right. Like I had no business doing that, but right. I get him through high school, and like I felt like all that happened to me so early on, I deserved. I really had a bad case of like I thought I was the main character. And
interesting.
Yeah, and I felt that I deserved for things to work out because I went through so much stuff early on, and I don't live like that now at all. In fact, I don't. I think at first I wanted people to be like, "Wow, look at what he accomplished," in spite of all the bad that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get older, you realize bad happens to everybody in different shapes and forms throughout their life. And I didn't have it any worse than you did, or everyone goes through their own shit. And perspective is not a thing that I had growing up. And I always said that I would not change anything. Like if I could go back and keep my mom or keep my dad, like if I could find ways to stop that stuff from happening, I don't think I would. Because I don't think Front Page Tech exists if that doesn't happen. I think my case of being the main character in a movie, I think that continues even longer without wake-up calls like that. And so I wouldn't change any of that, but I would change my reactions to things in life. I think. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything about anyone else. I would change me. I know that's not something you can do, I don't sit in a bunch of guilt and regret. But it is like all the things that I don't like about me, I'm trying to fix now. And
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's because I didn't make an effort to learn about me because I was too afraid of me. Everything that happened that was bad and my reactions to those bad things usually consisted of running away from the reality of that. And that can look like a bunch of things. That can be, diving headfirst into work. It could be making an excuse, like instead of me grieving and realizing all the bad that happened and just learning how to cope with that, I told myself that I couldn't because I had authorities in my life, adults in my life that were telling me to man up, don't cry, be tough, you have to be tough for your brother. And so I always had that excuse, like, I can't be sad right now because I have to take care of him. And that was just me hurting me. And then eventually there's a point in your life where you don't have responsibility, it's like you don't have him. And it happened when work was going well. It's like even when I didn't have my brother, I still couldn't focus on any of my personal demons because I had to make sure Front Page Tech worked, that I got to make sure that this, and we struggled for so long to do that when it finally happened and I was alone with me, I think that has created the biggest change in my life, and it hasn't happened until very recently to where I wish I could change my reactions to things. And I know I can't go back and change those, so it's now that I'm trying to change how I view life, because I don't think you can try to react accordingly because you never know what's actually coming. So the best answer to that is to change you, like find a peace within you, because then your reactions, I think, will be more instinctual and natural. And so that's just what I'm trying to do now, is just be at a greater peace with everything that has happened in my life and, the world at large right now, because the world is never, doing great.
Right.
But,
right.
Right now it just seems a little more hostile than maybe other times.
Yeah, and so this is interesting. This kind of is a good segue. I don't want to completely leave that, because I feel like you said something really important there, which was that you were in a lot of ways forced to face yourself. Maybe for one of the first times in a long time, mainly because so many other things were kind of complete. They ended their journey, whatever that looks like, and you were just left with yourself. And I think almost all humans probably come to that point in their life, but they all react differently. Some hide from it further. Some commit suicide. Some use
drugs,
it to,
alcohol.
Drugs, alcohol. I mean, there's all different types of ways, and then some use it to make themselves stronger and push themselves forward. I believe the percentage of people that do that is probably much less than the people that are just like, well, I just have this thing on my back I got to carry for the rest of my life, this heavy thing.
Yeah,
and I'm hoping that, and maybe some of the things I talked about in the live stream yesterday is the things that connected with you are the things that I've had to deal with, and the things that I've never really, like I said in the live stream, I've never gotten over, and probably will never get over Nathan. For various,
but that's the big thing. Like, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference, I think, because I think right then that creates a crossroads, and a lot of people will never be okay with that. They'll never accept that. And
right.
So those feelings become negative. And then but in turn, I think the biggest thing for me is when you think about Nathan, the more that takes away from you, the more you allow that to take away from you, the side effect is it takes away from Nathan too, and that's not fair to him.
That's true.
It's like that's all love is like you're willing to lose someone regardless.
Yeah.
And so like if you are cool going through life accepting all of the good, there's always the other edge of the sword where like you have to also accept the bad. And if you didn't feel this way about Nathan, like you're not going to get over him. If you didn't feel that way, then you must not have loved him the way you thought you did.
Right.
And so that's like the accepting that, I think, is what is the real change in people. Like you can only go one of those directions about a lot of things that happen in your life. And I think you accepting that, and I mean, I was surprised to hear you mention it, in front of people and like on a live stream. Yeah. But I mean, that could just speak to your acceptance as well.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Nathan was my dog. So people might be like, "Who's Nathan?" So Nathan was my dog, and
way cooler than a human.
Way cooler than a human. We can talk about how shitty humans are here in a minute, but I'm trying to also navigate as the conversation goes to flow it in an interesting way, which is like death, right? So I did want to talk to you about this anyway, because it's one of the things I brought up during my stream. And so my dad is older, my mom is older. You do not have your parents, which is crazy to think about it at such a young age that happened to you. I mean, it's insane. And that you were forced to grow up. For me, both my parents still live. My dad has had a lot of medical issues, and he's okay now, but I just know that call is coming. For both of them, probably. And the thing is, like, how do you handle that? And so at this point, it's probably been over a year. So, time is not real. It's a construct. It's just like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
But whenever it was, and I was going through kind of just a general depression about life, and it's because I wasn't happy with where I was.
When was this, by the way? Like, what time frame are you talking about?
This would have only been within the last, 2 years or so. I mean, I was in a very deep depression over the last couple of years, based on decisions I had made and people I decided to associate myself with. And I feel like this gave me a lot of peace, because I found this thing about near-death experiences. So let me really quickly explain to people who don't know what that is, what this is, and why it makes a big difference to me. And then I'd love to hear what you think.
Okay.
So a near-death experience is, you may have heard of this before, which is when someone dies.
Yeah.
They call it near death, but in most
technically,
cases, like their heart is dead, their brain stops working, all the things. Like, they're dead. and then they have experiences while that's happening. Now, to be clear, before I started doing any research into it, I was thinking, well, because you're dead, I'm not denying that someone would be dead and that they had some type of experience that they then recap later. I'm like, you don't know when that happened. It could have just been this flood of chemicals that went into their head, and right before they actually died, they had this experience. Or even when they came back, that's when they had the experience. They didn't have the experience while they were dead, because you can't prove any of that, right? So that's the way I'd always kind of just brush that off. But when you combine near-death experiences with out-of-body experiences that happen during the death, that's when it becomes really compelling. There's some really amazing YouTube channels. Now, as I said in my live stream, as we talk about this stuff, it's going to sound crazy. I know it does. But the way I am about things is I'm interested until I can either disprove them or I prove them. And I need for something like this, I need a lot of facts to even be on board, because it just sounds crazy. And there are many scientific, which you can find on .edus, not like .lmnogs or whatever the fuck they are. Those fucking crazy. I love to go. You'll see something on Twitter or on Facebook. It's like, oh, did you know that this person did this, and you know that Angelina Jolie has 6 heads or some shit like that. Oh my god, let me click this link, and it's like
.ze.
Yeah, .ze or some shit. No, these are on the .edus. There's like legitimate things where they've actually gone and done studies on people who have died and have had near-death experiences or out-of-body experiences, and have pretty much said, yeah, this happened. We don't have an explanation for it. Once I started reading a lot of like legitimate resources about that, then I started going back and listening to the stories. There's a couple cool channels, and there was 2 stories I remember that I'll never forget. This one guy who died and had an out-of-body experience. He was dead for 2 hours. He had an out-of-body experience. They had zipped him up in a body bag. He was dead. He died in a bathroom because he was like drunk or whatever, on drugs or whatever. Died in the bathroom of a restaurant. The medics and everything came, put him into a body bag, put him into the ambulance, and left. Now, he sees all of this from out of his body. He describes it all. He said while he's watching himself be taken in the hospital or in the ambulance, zipped up in a body bag. They don't zip you up if you have any vital signs. Let's just be clear about that.
Yeah.
He could describe everything that happened in that ambulance. And what happened in that ambulance is something that's not supposed to happen. The guy said, he said that he saw the guy that was sitting in the back with his body, and that he could see inside his heart that something was like, he could see inside the guy's heart that something wasn't right.
Okay.
And the guy in the back of the ambulance, and this is all stuff you can, I guess is all like verifiable, because I started looking stuff up. I'm like, oh, this shit actually happened. He unzipped the body bag and then started doing CPR and stuff on him. He was new on the job, and they were like, you're not supposed to fucking do that. You're going to get fired. Brought his ass back to life. So he was dead. They were taking him to the morgue or wherever the hell they take him. And he just didn't feel right. And he's like, he unzipped the body bag and started doing CPR and brought the guy back to life. The guy who did that in the ambulance is a real guy. This really happened. He stays away from, like, you know, all the weird shit or whatever. Like, he doesn't want to be known. And it's just a really compelling story. Like, that one was really crazy. There's a whole YouTube video interviewing that guy. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But there's other ones that are like, where people are out of body and they go into other rooms where the doctor's going and telling, like, their family members, like, this isn't going good or whatever. And then when they come back, they can tell them exactly what was said. Shit that there's literally impossible.
That's hard to,
That's hard to deny, right? So I use all this. I want all this information to be able to believe the next thing they say, which is the part that gives me peace. That part is interesting, and I go, okay, there's some things here you can't explain, and there's some scientific evidence to show that some of this might actually be real. We can't possibly know, but there's something going on. Okay, so what do people say that are in a near-death experience? They describe it in ways that make me wish I was already there. They said they have this, and this is why I was like, maybe we're just playing a video game. When they die, and almost every single person that describes this says it the exact same way. They look at their body and they're completely disconnected from it. It's just, you're just looking at something that's dead. You don't even they don't even process that, whatever that means, that it's them. It's just like, dead body. Like, they don't even think anything about it. And they're just kind of looking around like, whatever. And then when they go to, they never call it heaven or anything, but when they, like, go wherever they go, they say they feel the most incredible love that is completely undescribable. and like all these things. And when you start to filter it through what we describe as like heaven and stuff, you realize that perhaps religions aren't necessarily wrong about aspects of it, but it's just the way that we know how to describe it. Maybe there isn't actually a religion. It's just we're trying to describe something that has happened to people. When they come back, they're like, I was in this light. I felt love. I felt like acceptance, like all these amazing things. And then, like I said in my live stream, everything else makes sense. Like, who cares if someone murders 27 people in a story? It's a video game. Like, you know, okay, that sucks. But once you die and you start to see the earth for what it really is, you're like, that was all right, it's cool. And the fact that maybe we actually decided to have a human experience because as spirits we're just energy. We're just like, hey, everything's great, whatever, it feels great.
Yeah.
But I want to do this little video game, this little human thing. And then that started to make sense. Like, why do bad things happen to good people? I'm like, because it doesn't matter. It's a blip in the eye. So it sounds crazy, makes sense to me now. It gave me peace. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned, dude. You have just put me in a position to sound crazy. Is all.
Please, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so I grew up like my parents raised us Christian.
Yep.
I went through a phase where, kind of the second I had my own autonomy, I rejected all that stuff. I was like,
Gotcha.
nah. Like I'm very much like. I might laugh at you. Like, if you're telling me this, like a near-death experience, I was the guy, I know this is not going to shock anyone, who would just laugh and be like, okay, you're like, you don't know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would treat it like arguing about, like, if you said I had a near-death experience, it'd be the same as, like, telling me the iPhone XR is depressing and not going to, it's not going to be the best selling. So I just treated it all the same. But... I'm telling you, man, it's like a level of acceptance that you don't know anything. The only thing that separated me growing up Christian from any other religion was just where I was born.
Right.
And for you, people like there are people that will change religions or, find faith in something else and make up their own mind.
Yes.
And love those people. There's also a lot of people that will say everything with their full chest, full faith, full commitment to something that they only believe because they were born in a region.
Or they were told it.
Yeah, or they were told it. And it's just like, that's the only thing separating us. And then we really stand here and point the finger at those people and say that they're wrong. There's no possible way that they're right. We're the right ones.
Right.
And that is insanity to me because we don't know anything at all, ever. And right now, I'm really fascinated with like space stuff currently. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think I always am, but right now I'm at a point in my life where I can attach an emotion and a feeling to the information I'm hearing. Whereas before, I don't think it was mature enough to do that. Like it just sounded like I could not comprehend the facts of what this is currently.
Yeah,
what it has been.
Yeah.
And something changed. Literally, it's so funny that this is happening now because literally just last week I had this great like awakening, and it was, again, I had a history of always believing that I was the main character.
Right.
And I think that is just humanity as a whole. Like we think that this is it.
Right.
And for some reason, I didn't realize where we are in time. Did you know that the only time life is viable to form anywhere, the only time there's a chance of that happening is in the earliest stages of the universe? For most of the universe's lifespan, it's going to be cold and dark.
Right, sure.
There will be no light. Like all of this stuff is just, we are so early on. We are what, the 14 billion years old or something is the current claim.
Yeah.
The universe is going to be trillions and trillions and trillions of years old to the point where all stars will die, and because all stars die, everything else just freezes. And there's going to be a point where like atoms themselves will not have the energy to exist, and for most of the universe's lifespan, it'll just be cold and dark and nothing. And so then, when I realized that like we are just at the beginning, and we're lucky, like the odds of this even happening is insane.
Right.
And what I've been thinking a lot about recently is like that must be the story then. Like we aren't the story. Whatever's happening up there, because we are not just small in terms of like physical size, we are so small in terms of the greater story. And I don't think people are okay with thinking that way.
Right.
And I don't think it's a cynical way to view life. I'm definitely, this hasn't changed my mind to make me go, well, nothing matters. Like I don't I don't want to like I'm not throwing my life away because I believe this and I don't think any of this matters anymore.
Right.
I think it is fascinating because we are made up of the most common ingredients of the universe. We're not special at all. And when you think of us being the ingredients that make all of this up, well, we really are. What it boils down to, and if we're thinking larger story, we are the universe's, as far as we know, the first opportunity for it to explore itself, for it to understand itself.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy how lucky we are to be sentient. That's insane. That we are the universe, and we have even a small understanding of what's happening. That's insane. And the luck there involved is nuts.
I love all of this, and every time I learn about this, because I love space, I love learning about space and stuff too. But the subject of space is really interesting in that it breaks my brain very quickly.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, when someone tells you something is, millions of miles away, and let alone trillions of miles away, your brain can't actually comprehend that because it's never experienced anything even remotely close to that. So when you try to imagine that, you're not even close, and that in of itself breaks it. So for how old the universe is and how big it is in expanse, and then what is infinite? Infinite doesn't even really make sense.
Doesn't
when you say
compute.
Infinite, what the fuck is infinite? What does that mean?
Yeah.
So when you try to actually comprehend it, it's almost like when you run like super heavy programs on your computer and it just shuts off and restarts. That's what happens in my brain. Like it says the Windows sound, and then it's like, nope. So I love it. I'm fascinated by it, but I can't even think very deeply about it because because when you start talking about like the realities of it and what the things are that make it what it is, you're instantly talking in words and phrases that you can't even imagine or understand, comprehend.
Yeah. And we don't even know if they're right. They're just our best guess currently.
Right.
But that's what I'm fascinated by. I'm fascinated with the idea that anyone and all of us can be wrong.
Yes.
And that's like my favorite thing is allowing myself to be open to the possibility that I might be wrong, which is not a thing that I have ever been okay. I've had I don't know if it's an ego issue.
You're not known for that.
Yeah, or what it is, but just and it doesn't just go for tech stuff, it went for life stuff too.
Of course.
I just had a big problem with that, even with myself. Like it wasn't just something I was doing to other people. Yeah. I couldn't talk myself down, which was
interesting.
Yeah, that's insane, but
so I actually mentioned this in the live stream yesterday when I talked about the problem with really smart people is when they're wrong, they usually double down on it. It's very difficult to convince them otherwise. For me, interestingly, when I grew up, I was very fast to, if I felt that I was wrong, immediately admit it and try to get to that because I wanted people to always believe in what I'm saying because I'm quick to admit when I'm wrong. But having said that, sometimes you don't know you're wrong. And you're just like, no, this isn't the thing. This is this is the way it is. And you just try to keep going. You're like, no, that's not. And until something smacks you in the face, whatever it is, being super intelligent and trying to, that's like a weakness in some ways because it's hard to grow.
I wouldn't say I'm super intelligent, but yeah.
I think you're very insightful. I think that's a very good word for you because I end up saying a lot of the things that you say. And for years on my channel, I don't think I've ever hidden the fact that you've been a heavy influence on my channel. So, and I take some of that stuff to like real life things too. So like I'll think about things that I'll say in tech in the same way in real life and just try to see if there's any way to make that thing fit. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. You know.
I think what the the current age or era or spot that I'm at, like in my career,
Yeah.
because as a result of what's happening to me personally in life, as I get older and mature a little bit, luckily, is that and this is something you say too, I have become very aware of time and how valuable that is. I think you spend a lot of your 20s just thinking, not that you're invincible as in nothing bad can happen to you, but we get really okay with waiting because we all just think we're just watching some movie, and we're all like, people are okay just sitting in life and waiting for the next good thing to happen to them. There are people that don't know what their careers are, and they're just waiting to find the thing.
Right.
And I'm not freaked out by time. I don't want to say that. I don't want to say I'm like having an existential crisis. But I'm definitely, like, more often than not during the day, I'm thinking about time and how short it is and how fast it moves.
Yeah.
And because of that, I have done a lot less of the same thing over and over and over again on YouTube. I'll give you a good example. Like right now, this time last year, I was probably one of those channels that kept making the same video over and over again because right now is like, it's like Christmas this time of the year for tech and Apple stuff.
Yep.
And if I just keep putting out the same video over and over again because right now is when I'm going to get the majority of the money, and that's just like it's a pure business decision, and you're not thinking about the people that are watching it.
Right.
And right now, more than ever, it's very rare. I mean, maybe but you've been teched out. Like you're subscribed to one or two tech channels, but a lot of these viewers are subscribed to a lot of the tech channels, and then they end up having to watch the same video from everybody.
Yeah.
And that for the first time, I'm just like, what are we doing? Like collectively as a unit, we aren't thinking about our time either. We're trying to make money, and in exchange, we're just wasting everyone else's time. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to make stuff because none of this matters next year. None of it.
Exactly.
It won't matter, dude. It won't matter on Tuesday.
Exactly.
Like when the iPhone is officially announced, that's it. Like your job is done. No one cares about the leaks, and on Tuesday we'll start iPhone 17 leaks. That's just like the cycle repeats itself.
Yeah.
And I just want to make stuff that matters. I want to make stuff that I believe matters, and because the biggest thing that I have done right now is, Front Page Tech used to be very repeatable. It's the same thing. I could do it with my eyes closed. And it's almost like if I can do it with my eyes closed and I'm not challenged at all, it's like an insult to the people that are giving me their time as well.
Right.
And I feel like I spent most of my career making stuff that doesn't matter and I wasn't proud of. Yeah. And my thing was I would make the same thing over and over again, rinse and repeat 3 times a week or whatever. And then if I had a special video, I would do like a live stream or try to hype it up or be like, okay, but for real, please watch this one. Right. Now I want the viewers in a position to where when I put out anything, they know that I tried my best. Right. And I want it to be worth watching, not because it's not just another thing that's I could have posted anything previously that you wouldn't be hurt by skipping. Right. Right. So I want to be able to put stuff out that I don't have to hype it up. I don't have to put out teasers or promos. I don't have to ask you to watch. I want you to trust that if I'm putting it out, it's because I think it's worth your time, and I spent a lot of mine trying to make it for you.
And I think you've done that, especially a couple of times this past year with the Steve Jobs thing, or what's Steve Jobs?
Oh, Tim Cook.
Tim Cook thing. The The Vision Pro was a great one. So you've done this multiple times now, especially this year. And I love those, and I think they're great. And I've seen some of the comments, and they seem to be overly like, holy shit, this is it. And that's what matters. And you and I had this kind of conversation through text when I was showing you the scam bait thing. I was like, this stuff matters. Like, this guy's actually helping people. He's saving people from getting, scammed and stuff. And like, he's making a difference. There are people on YouTube that do those things, and I want to be a part of that. So one of the things that I'm having kind of a crisis with is this channel itself. So I kind of wish this channel was called Travis Tech or something like that, so that I could just
What's
file
stopping
it away.
you from doing that?
Well, I have to get my check mark and all this other shit, but I don't know. I mean, there's nothing really stopping me, because I really want to do the Travis MCP channel, which is things more like this, and then maybe going out and just doing shit. I know algorithmically it's not going to do well, and I think that's what's holding me back. And that's what's holding me back from doing it just on this channel. This video is special because I'm fine to put it on the channel, even, no matter how it performs, because you're known in the tech community. So I know that people will come and watch just because you're here, right? And to hear something different from you. So I know that's going to work. But when I have like my friend, one of my other friends that's spectacular in their particular area of expertise, or if I just sit here and talk about, how I feel about something, I don't know that I'm going to get a lot of people for that. And even though I don't care anymore, because in not uploading, like, I'm losing subscribers and stuff. Like, there's the worst thing to do is to not upload. So why don't I just upload shit that doesn't, I don't know why.
Yeah.
There's this thing that I can't get over. I think part of it is at one point being a YouTuber where I was happy with my performance and how things were going, that now the competitive side of me is like, nah, bro, you're going to break it. It's going to be broken. Well, it's already broken. Like, it's because I'm not uploading, like, why don't I just take advantage of it? So I'm half tempted.
Yeah, but like, if you let's say hypothetically, you were just, because I mean, let's be real, you know how to play the game and win.
Sure,
so
of course. Yeah.
If you wanted to, you could just start making the content that you know will work, and get back on the horse. But like, is that fulfilling?
That's the thing. That's the problem. Because I'm going to do 2 videos this week. I was hoping some sponsors would come through, but because I've said no so many times, I think they just stopped fucking with me anymore. But I'm going to do at least 2, just because I think I'm going to do 1 because I think it's fun. The let me ruin the Apple thing I just have fun doing that.
You did that last year too.
Yeah, but the other one is more, and I'll be honest, like, I'll just be transparent, is more of an ego thing, because I think if I do something like why I'm not upgrading to the iPhone 16, it'll probably do good in views, and it'll just make me feel good for once, right? But I honestly am more passionate about doing stuff like this. But as we talked about at the very beginning, sometimes I get into something real hard and heavy, and then I stop. I might do 10 episodes of this thing, and that might be it. That could be it. Maybe I've said everything I wanted to say, so I don't know. Let me ask you, because I do want to share a little bit about this. For the last like 4 weeks, I've been thinking about doing. Speaking of friends, Demetrius Johnson, who's one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time.
Familiar?
Yeah, he was a former UFC fighter and is one of the greatest.
Oh,
fighters
he was
of all
in
time.
one of your videos.
Yeah. He was in Travis Tries. He just texted me because I was telling him he retired just recently. Congratulated him. I said, hey, would love to have you on the show just to talk about life. So some of the things that I want to be able to talk to some of my more fascinating guests like you are things that I'm always curious about. And most people never hear about, which are the things like, okay, so first of all, you don't leave your house. I almost never leave my house. I don't know. Have I said this? So I bought a car. I bought a car in 2021. There was a 2022.
Okay.
And I'm recording this right now, and it's the end part of 2024. It has, I know, I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know. But here's the thing. It has 10,000 miles on it.
Okay.
So I bought it 3 years ago. I have 10,000 miles on the car. I go nowhere. All that to say, I go nowhere. But, I need to change that about myself, because it definitely can get you in a depressing place. But for the times that you do leave your house and do things, you have shared on occasion with me directly and sometimes on social media when people recognize you and stuff. I would love to hear about some of the more, and you did that thing in California. Greg and I at one point were going to troll and go there.
Oh no.
And then have like a stand outside of it. And we were going to
That's
troll
so funny.
you guys. We just never got around to doing it because Greg and I we have great ideas. We just don't always execute on them. But anyway, tell me about some of those experiences. What it's like to meet people. Some of the odd things, like where you've met people and you're like, I didn't expect to meet someone here. I love those stories. Tell me what you got.
Airports are usually like the place. It seems to be, I mean, it makes sense in terms of numbers. That's where the most amount of strangers are in a place, at a given time from all over the world. So airports are usually like the place, or a Best Buy, but like I know better. I'm not gonna walk into a Best Buy. So
yeah, no more, right?
yeah. Airports are usually like the place where it happens, and it's also the worst place because I am never on time for anything ever in my life, ever.
Oh, geez.
I was late for this.
I mean, but you had an excuse, but okay, fair.
So, yeah, in an airport, I'm especially late. I'm going to be the last one on the plane. There's no way around that. And then you come up to me and so I've had people wake me up if I was napping in an airport.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I am an animal in an airport, and it's just so sad because, like, I'm not a full functioning person. Like, I'll just be laying there drooling on myself, and then someone will be like, "Is that?" And it's terrible.
He lives in an airport.
Yeah, one of the worst things that happened was I had a layover. I'm in Chicago, worst airport in the world, by the way.
Interesting.
And I'm in a food court, and I'm starving. I don't have a lot of time till the next flight, so I get like a personal pan pizza.
Yeah.
And bro, I mean, you know the move. I'm just sitting there, I'm an animal. It looks like a clip from Animal Planet. It is not about like, oh, let me sit here and have a meal. No, it's just, I need the nutrients. It's all going in at once.
I need it now.
Yeah. So I am a disgusting human. I throw all my stuff away, and as I'm leaving, someone was like, "Hey man, I didn't want to interrupt you while you were eating, but can we take a quick picture?" And it just flashes through my head what they must have seen. And I'm just like, oh my, like, this is the worst place for you to see me. Yeah, but the event was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Interesting.
And also one of the greatest. So for those unaware, we did an event in San Francisco for Genius Bar, our podcast, in conjunction with Dark Mode. So Luke Miani and Noah Rubin from Dark Mode. And it took many months of planning. Many trips out there to get stuff ready. It was so much money for the venue, and then insurance for workers' comp, stuff you would never consider for security and all this other stuff. And it started first where there were two tickets. You could buy one regular ticket where you saw the podcast live, and then there was a separate ticket that was like a VIP ticket where you could go downstairs. There was a separate venue, like a more intimate venue for a meet and greet. Mm-hmm. And the event was fine. It was like a live podcast in front of people was just it wasn't my favorite. I'll give it to you straight.
Okay.
Seeing the people is really cool, but that's if I ever did another event, that's what it would be about. It would be about the people getting time with me and not me just talking at people sitting there.
Okay.
That seems very egotistical and selfish, and I don't know. I just don't think I'll sell tickets for something like that again. And as the show was over and we were getting ready for the meet and greet, security starts, effectively kicking people out because we've got a meet and greet downstairs. The guys need to be down there. So anyone that doesn't have this ticket, we got to make sure you're out of here. And I felt bad. So the thing I did was I told people at the end of the show, hey, I understand if you don't have a VIP ticket, you're going to be leaving. I'm going to go out in the lobby, so even if you are leaving right now, you can take a picture with me and talk for a second. Security hated that, but yeah, I went out in the lobby. It's like a circular lobby, and it's full of people, and I'm trying to stand by the door so that people can say goodbye to me, and a lot of really cool experiences there. There was a guy there with his husband, and the husband hated me. And
really?
Yeah, and the guy loved me. The husband hated my voice, And so he was like, I'm so happy to be able to meet you, and I've always wanted to do this. And he hands his phone to the husband that hates me so he can take the picture of us. It was a guy from Dubai. He flew 17 hours to come see us. And he's like, hey, I flew all this way. I just wanted to say thank you for everything. And I'm like, you flew all this way? Don't tell security, but just head down there.
Right.
Because he didn't have a VIP ticket, so I just snuck him down there, and
that's so cool.
Those were the experiences where, because we kind of split up, where there was dark mode, so Luke and Noah, and then Sam had a line, and then there was a separate table with me and Brian from Front Page Tech. So if you wanted to see Front Page Tech, like there was a line just for that, a line just for Sam. And like, I don't want to brag or anything, but our line was,
unsurprising.
Yeah,
unsurprising.
And the interactions there, I think, changed my life forever, because then it wasn't about me, trying to put on a show. I just got to stand there and let people have their time with me, because they come in with their own plan. A lot of people had their own notes or questions that they wanted to ask. A lot of them had gifts. Like, I got so many books and letters. One guy named Jared came up, and I'll never forget this, ever. He comes up to me, and he's like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I was going through a really hard time, and you made a joke on the show. I forget what I said, but I just threw out a random name, and I was like, yeah, and I'm talking to you, Jared. And just because I made that joke, he saved the clip on his phone from 4 years ago and is now standing in front of me, and he just, like, he plays this clip, and we laugh and stuff, and then he just starts crying. And then it makes me cry, and like there's a line of people, and I'm just like, losing my shit. and so it was just like incredible experiences like that, where people had their own, like, I have my own little space in their life, and you don't consider that, and then they get to come up and tell you where you fit, even if it's a small little place in their life. The fact that you fit in there at all is insanity. And I really struggled with giving people too much time, because security was like, hey, we're going to make everyone leave. Like, you guys are going to have to hurry this up and then head out of here. And my manager was like, they're not, like, John he'll take the line outside if he has to. Like, if you're going to kick everyone out, he's just going to stand outside with the same line. Like, he's not going to make these people hurry up.
Yeah,
because they want to rush them through it. And I would love to do something like that again, but like I said, it's like the hardest thing I've ever had to pull off, like, logistically. But it has to be the coolest experience of my career, doing this for so many years, and you're just talking to a void. You think so, or you just see the numbers and usernames and stuff, but they're real people that have, like, real emotions towards you, because they've either grown up with you, and it didn't really click for me, but you said earlier that people got to watch me grow up too, which is a lot to think about. Yeah. But yeah, just those are the people that I want to serve now. I want to put out content that is worth their time and that they'll remember. It's not just another video that they watched and then tomorrow they'll never think about it. I want to make them think. I want you to remember, and I want you to feel like you got your 10 minutes worth, or 20 minutes worth, however long the video is. And that's why, like, we put out an iPhone 16 video, but we were trying to save it. We were trying to, instead of doing another, like, here's last minute leaks or something, because if you're following us, I'm just going to assume you don't need me to tell you again in exchange for your, ad revenue. Like, that just seems silly to me now. So I wanted to give them an experience where if they click on the video, it feels like they're watching the Apple event. Right. Yeah, like, you're actually getting it early. It's not just a title this year. And so we put a lot of work and effort into, like, mimicking the vibe of an Apple event.
You nailed it, for sure.
And that's the stuff I want to be able to give people. I'm not going to successfully pull that off every time. We'll fall short. We'll put out bad videos again, I'm sure, at some point. Maybe soon. But yeah, I hope that people... I've never really talked like this, I guess, on any podcast or any show, but I hope that people know that if I put something out, I really believe in it, and I think it's worth your time. Right. And because you're giving me any amount of your time, I have put all of mine into it. Sleepless nights. There's so many things that we don't make. It's like the hardest part of making it is having an idea that we think is worth your time and worth making. And so I hope that people are okay with that, because a lot of people are upset that I don't do leaks or stuff anymore. And that's just, those days are over. That doesn't, like, interest me, and tech is very lucky to interest me at all currently. Right. And I struggle with that, I think, in front of everybody, my lack of interest in this stuff. But there's always a greater purpose to it, and I think that's what I'm trying to do now. It's like, what is the stuff that's happening today mean for tomorrow?
I agree. I agree with this because during the last year where I was uploading regularly, there was at least 1 or 2 times I can remember where I'm literally in the middle of shooting going, why am I doing this? Like, what's the point of this? Like, does it matter?
Oh, man.
And so this week, you know, when I do the Let Me Ruin the Event for You, I'm just trying to be funny and make people laugh. And people seem to like it in the comments last year. And again, the other one, you know, is more for ego. And I'm not even sure I'm going to do it. To be honest, like I might get, there have been a couple of videos, and it probably happened to you too, middle shooting it. And I go, nah. I'm just like, nah. I've done that. I've literally done that. I'm in the middle of shooting and I'll be like, and this is the other. Nah, that's all right. I'm out. And then just leave. I'm
You know what?
like, nah, I'm not
I
doing
mean,
this.
the last 3 or 4 videos, I can't remember exactly, but consecutively, last 3 or 4 videos that have been put out have been thrown away at one point. Like we write the script, we're happy, we think we're happy with the script, I will record it, and then I will even finish editing it. And then watching it back, we're just like, it doesn't feel the way we want it to feel. So we scrap the whole thing and start from scratch and make it again. And we've done that for 3 or 4 videos consecutively, and that's how much we care about what we're putting out right now, even if it's annoying as hell. It's like the audience won't know how many times I've recorded this video.
Right, yeah.
They just, the one time they watch it, it needs to be good.
And I think you've done that. I think every time it seems a lot more polished. You've always been kind of polished, but in a different way. Like it feels very smooth and very, very, very easy to digest. I love it. It's been great. Let's talk about one more thing or so before we get out of here, because I didn't tell you how long we were going to do this for. I have no idea. I was just like, we're just going to talk.
I didn't know what we were going to talk about. This is great.
No, I also know that sometimes you've been on live streams where you've been on for 4, 5, 6 hours too, and I've been on the same live streams. We know the live streams of which we speak.
Yeah, there aren't many people that could pull me out of my cave to do a podcast other than you.
I was super happy about that because for the longest time I was like, for years I was like, I could do a podcast with John. That'd be great. And we just never had gotten around to it. So this is that thing. This is the time that we did it. This is the one episode special. It's the limited edition version. All right. Here it is. And there's like 2 things that I've never really spoken about publicly. And one of those 2 we're not going to talk about because it's politics. The other the other one is dating. So let's talk a little bit about like dating apps and stuff. And I'll tell you my part of it. And I'd love to hear like your experiences and stuff. First of all, I thought the dating apps would be like shooting fish in a barrel. I'm like, bro, I'm a social media dude. This is going to be easy as pie. It is terribly difficult to swim between the catfish and the scams and the people who just aren't interested. Today, this is no lie. Today, I got a like from someone, and all it was a picture of a lake. I'm like, bish, how am I supposed to know anything about it? That was it. This is a lake. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? I hate the ones where the bios are like, they don't really say anything and it's just pictures of their dogs and shit. I'm like, if someone
how's that helpful to anybody?
But if someone likes you, you might not want to date them anyway, because if they're into your dog, I mean, like, what are we really talking about here?
Yeah.
You don't even know what you're asking for. All right, so I have not had great experiences, but I will say one thing that always comes up, and I always am like hypersensitive about this, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. I'm what's the good word for it? I'm hypersensitive about telling them that I do YouTube. And I'll tell you why. There have been multiple people.
Hypersensitive is in like hesitant?
In other words, not telling them at all. And I'm trying to think. I've only ever told one person that I've dated that I'm on YouTube. It's never come up.
Okay.
They would always ask, well, what do you do for work? And I'm like, oh, I do like social. I don't even say social media. I'll say like search engine optimization. And that's enough for them to go, I don't know what that is. It's like, okay, cool. Here's the reason why. When you're first dating someone, you're just trying to get to know them.
Yeah.
Everything is kind of even. They don't know anything about you. You don't know anything about them. The minute they know that you are on social media, all they have to do is Google you. And now they know so much more about you than you them. Now you have a disadvantage.
Yeah.
They speed run your
most likely the stuff they know isn't like accurate, you know, because it's like it's just a character you're playing. It's not real.
So there's that. There's also the fuck ups you've done on the internet, if you've ever done any fuck ups.
Oh yeah.
And just in general, like there's a whole the information balance of like how much you give to someone else gets skewed very fast. So I have a hard problem telling anybody that I do anything, even though I don't do much anymore and I'm kind of more irrelevant now. there's still tons of information about me out there. It's too late. The Pringles can has been opened, right? You're not gonna put the pop back on there, right? The pop is done. So how do you think about this, and how do you deal with it, and what's your experience been?
Well, first of all, fun fact. This
Fun
is
fact?
either I don't know which way this is going with this
All right.
conversation, but I have quite literally never been on a dating app. I have never
Really?
seen one. Like I've never seen one in terms of like I've never been on a dashboard of anything. I've never created an
Okay.
account, logged in, never seen anything like that. I've thought about it, but like it's sort of the same thing where it just feels it feels more of like an obstacle than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And because like you said, it's like explaining is harder than it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when all this information it already exists online.
Mm-hmm.
And in an ideal world, I don't say anything about it until you have a pretty good grasp on like my personality. That's hard because, like you said, it's a conversation piece right away. What do you do for work? And that stuff is difficult. But I had my last-ish experience was for a fan.
Right.
It started out a fan, and
Right.
that was like, I don't know what kind of headspace I was in, but clearly it was that appealed to me. Someone already knowing who I am for the most part, like that was like easy mode,
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So yeah, dating is difficult in the sense of I can't clock out.
Right.
That's been the biggest problem in any relationship is that I cannot stop. I don't leave work and then it's just like undivided attention. I'm constantly thinking about this.
Right.
And it changes over my career, for a period, leaks consumed me, and
Right.
trying to be first on a topic consumed me. I don't think that way anymore. I'm cool, like, taking my time, watching everyone else put their videos out first, because when I put mine out, people will know it matters.
Right.
But now I'm consumed by that. Like, how do I make something that matters? It's even though your career changes, it's like, as a person, I still have that personality trait where I'm completely and utterly consumed, and that has been like the biggest issue in my career and in my personal life, because at first it's always very cool. It seems very cool, this job. It is the coolest job in the world. But like when you're actually in it, that's when it becomes like very, very difficult. So even if you get past, you end up liking the person that is a picture of the lake. Like,
I mean, I swiped left on. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But go
but
ahead.
like for you, how much does this impact like a traditional lifestyle of what is expected of like a couple?
So for me, like, there's a lot of things going on because my desire to have a relationship has changed a lot over the last 4 years. And some of it is actually, believe it or not, medically connected. Not because I'm like dying or anything like that, but there's certain chemicals and stuff going on in my head that make me care a lot less now than I did even a year ago. A lot less.
Okay.
Substantially less.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean that I'm not interested and that it wouldn't be nice to meet somebody. Listen, if you're cute and you're listening to this and you're interested, holler at your boy. Leave me a number or whatever. Because I'm not getting any kind of success on these dating apps. I'm off of all the dating apps now, with the exception of Facebook, which is just that's not even really. I don't even count that because it's just like connected to your accounts, like it's whatever. And I don't want to meet anyone there. But I think it would be really nice to have someone there in your corner to root you on. And let me read you a funny thing. So a couple of days ago, I don't know if you saw this. I went on Threads, which is Instagram's version of like Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And I decided I don't know why their algorithm is really interesting, because almost everything
Threads?
that I was getting in my feed, Threads, almost everything I was getting in my feed was about like dating and stuff, which I thought was interesting. A bunch of hot chicks over there. I'm like, all these hot chicks really on here single and everything. It just doesn't seem real, right? So I'm like, I think I'm just going to like troll, right? I think I'm just going to troll. So one of the first messages that I replied to that I just completely trolled on did really well. I think it's got like 13,000 views or something like that. Yeah. So I'm looking at this. Yeah. So let me read to you what they said, and then I'll tell you what I said, because I just want to be funny. Because at this point, I'm like, let me just troll. So it's this one female on here, and she's cute, and she says, "How to make a man fall in love. Good men should comment. We need to know," with a little emoji at the end, right? So here's what I said. And the funny part is this first part, I think, is 100% real. I go, intellectual conversation, undying support, and a shoulder to cry on. We actually need someone to support us and help us grow as men just as much as we need to support you in everything you want to accomplish. Or a fat ass. So that went really well.
I should have known. I should have known you were going to throw it in there somewhere.
So I think that's the reason why I did so well. And, that was fun. I had a little fun going back and forth on different things like that. And I do that because I feel like there's no one out there for me, which is a weird thing to say. And I don't say it as like, oh, I wish someone would say something nice to me so I can feel. No. I really legitimately do, because of like my experience. And like I said before, I rely a lot on data, hard facts, and things like that, and even my experience. I have experienced some shit that doesn't make any kind of sense, like people that things are going good, and then all of a sudden, for literally no reason, just poof, they fall off the face of the planet. Like, how the fuck did that happen? So much so that I had friends that didn't believe me, and I'm like, watch what happens this next time. And then something random happens, and I go, this is what happened. They're like, that is weird. Why did that happen? I'm like, bro, I don't know. I'm cursed or some shit. So while it would be incredibly nice to have a beautiful young lady to come home to, I don't leave the fucking house.
For her to come home to you.
For her to come home to me. And to share times and to share the experiences, because again, life is all about time. It's not about any experiences, not much about anything else. It's about time experiences. I would love that. I would love to have that. But now, in this particular point in my life, it's different, in where I craved it so much that it was pushing me and I was feeling pain by not having it. Now I'm just kind of like, yeah, it'd be cool if I had it, but, whatever. It's a little bit like me saying, what's your favorite candy bar?
Are you asking me? Because I have an answer.
I'm asking you.
Okay, Snickers, but not branded, not like the actual brand Snickers. Walmart has a knockoff version that is way better.
You like the knockoff Snickers?
Yeah, the great value, like, dude, it's great is correct. It's delicious. It's the best thing.
Oh Jesus! I'm trying to think, what knockoff brand of anything do I like? But okay, let's just say I have I went to Walmart and I got a 12-pack of those things. And I dropped them off your house. You'd be happy to have them.
Oh, hell yeah.
If you couldn't have them today, you'd be like, I'd like to have them, but it's fine. I got other shit I can do. Right? That's kind of how I feel about this. It's like, I would love the great value.
You're just looking for the great value Snickers bar.
Looking for the great value Snickers bar, no nuts, please. Like literally and figuratively.
Are you allergic to nuts?
No, I don't like the flavor.
Oh, okay. You don't like the flavor of nuts. What's wrong with you?
I know, right? John Prosser loves nuts. Just confirmed.
That's fine. Great value nuts all day.
Great value nuts.
If I can get a bargain on nuts, I'm in.
Dude, great value fucking Snickers bar. I'm sending you some immediately.
I don't know what's wrong with it, but the chocolate is like so much better.
Is it?
Oh yeah, they crushed it. Well,
okay. Have you watched some of the? To be clear, actually, this reminds me of a little documentary I saw. Every so often, Shane Dawson throws something up that I have to watch. Very rarely, but sometimes.
Okay.
And he did a whole thing about like candies and cereals and stuff, and that the fact that they're actually the same as the bigger brands. Some of this you might be able to assume, but to the degree that it was true was really interesting. So
yeah, it makes sense. Like, okay, here's the issue.
Yeah.
Especially against Walmart, right? Here's your options as a brand. You either don't have your product at Walmart, which, okay, enjoy death. I don't know.
Exactly that. Yep.
Or you have your product in Walmart, but Walmart is going to, there's no way around it. Walmart is going to make your thing. And they're They're going to make your thing, and they're going to charge less. So you have a couple options here. Number one, you can let them do that and take no money and just constantly lose money.
Yes.
Or you can cut a deal with them where you will make the thing for them for a smaller portion of money.
Correct.
So even if you aren't making the profit from your actual branded product, you're not getting nothing or negative money in the process. So it's like Walmart has the leverage either way, and they can just use your factory to make your thing.
That is 100% true.
It's insane.
You just reminded me of something from that actual documentary, though. I think it's the Great Value ice cream bars. I love ice cream bars. Do you like ice cream sandwiches?
Dude,
I love them.
ice cream is the greatest food on the planet. There's nothing better.
Okay. So have you ever had one of the Great Value ice cream sandwiches?
Yep.
Do you like them?
The ones that supposedly don't melt.
They don't melt. Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
They actually don't.
Oh,
Have you
I would
seen the
never know.
videos
I
and
eat them
stuff?
too fast.
But they actually don't melt, which is
Why?
insane. Which is like, because I think you're eating gum. I don't think you're actually eating
I don't
ice
care. I will eat gum all day. Dude, if someone was like, oh, yeah, there's cyanide in those Great Value Snicker bars. Okay.
cream. You're eating it anyway.
I guess so.
Fuck me sideways. Bruh. We could do this all day.
Don't make gum taste so good. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man.
I eat, but you know what? My secret. Definitely, we should end with like what our toxic trait is. But like, I'll tell you one thing that I really enjoy. That's kind of universal, and that's like industrial. I don't even know if this is the right word. I don't know if this is the right word for this. Industrialized food. I don't like foods at like hospital cafeterias, high school cafeterias, gas station hot dogs, gas station hamburgers, like all the shittiest of shit food.
Okay,
I love that stuff. I love it.
Okay.
Not for the flavor, because it's not like the flavor's great.
You just want to feel bad about yourself?
I mean, I should. Look at me. I mean, that's why I look this way.
Oh, goodness. Oh, what? Shit.
Or how about, what's something embarrassing that you've never really said online before, but that won't cancel you?
Yeah, great. Perfect. Yeah, this is a great way to...
I don't know what it would be. I'll think about it, but, do the same.
Oh, man.
Oh, I'm happily talk about my bidet, but go ahead.
Your bidet. Oh, fuck,
No, I'll tell you about a bidet technique I use that's embarrassing, and you tell me something embarrassing about you.
Something embarrassing about me. Okay, you go first, because I know I've got something.
Okay, all right.
I just have to commit to saying whatever it's going to be.
I'm happy to share this.
Okay,
as you know, I am I'm very passionate about my love of bidets and the fact I think everyone should have one, and that it's just weird for people to not have bidets. I think people who don't have one would go, first of all, for those who don't know what a bidet is, it is a thing that shoots water up your ass to clean your ass after you poop, right?
Specifically, directly in your asshole.
Yeah, yes, exactly that. Now, some people might go, ew, I don't want that. Here's where I counter. First of all, let's go through the whole bidet thing. It makes no sense what we do here in America.
Oh yeah,
bidets make sense. So
this is an easy way to explain it.
I think you're gonna say what I say. Go ahead.
Or listener, if you eat spaghetti with your hands,
yeah,
okay, you just had a whole bowl of spaghetti, you ate it with your hands. Your hands are now covered in that.
Yeah.
What is your response? Would you just go up with a dry paper towel and try to wipe it all off your hands, or would you just straight up wash your hands?
Some people do just wipe their hands with paper towels. I'm going to do you one better, and I'll be more direct about it. You fall over and your hand falls in dog shit. Are you just going to wipe them off with paper towels? Because that's what we're talking about. That's literally what we're talking about.
Oh, God. Oh. I was not ready for how terrible that was going to be. Oh, I like this spaghetti analogy way better.
But it's real. That's literally what we're talking about. You're going to throw up. Okay. Before Prosper literally throws up. Anyway, I love bidets. So let me explain this secret bidet thing that I learned. So actually, I think I told you this. There's actually an unlisted video on my YouTube channel of the very first time I tried a bidet.
Okay.
Because I did it as a review. This is way before I had the tech channel. I just uploaded. I thought it'd be funny. Okay. Anyway, so.
Dude, you got me real good.
You're gonna eat dinner after this? Nope.
Not till tomorrow. I've decided. You could put a Great Value Snickers bar in front of me right now, and I ain't touching it.
It looks just like the dog shit. Okay, all right, sorry. All right, let me get back to this. Okay.
We're professionals, by the way.
We are, this is the most professional podcast. Okay. So, typically, when you spray it, if you don't really know what you're doing, it just kind of cleans around your area. It does a good job. You feel clean afterwards. It's great. You don't have skid marks or anything. It's amazing. I learned a technique, kind of on accident. Because typically, when you shoot the water, it just kind of goes around the area. Well, one time, I hit a bullseye, and it went right up the old chute, right? And it kind of, there was quite a bit of it. Whenever I kind of caught me off guard, like, whoa.
Okay.
And then the water flowed out, almost like you had diarrhea. And then some stuff came out. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was in there. So I have developed what I call the water balloon technique.
Oh, this sounds. Oh, no. You know, I have a meeting. I really gotta. Oh, God.
So I turn it on full blast and I fill the water balloon up. And then I turn it off and it clears everything out. And it's wonderful. It's great. And I'm cleaner than anyone else.
I am gonna pass out.
100% clean. I never have to worry about it. I'm not worried about it ever again. My butt is cleaner than anyone else's, you know. All right. So that's my thing.
Okay.
What's yours?
This is not gonna surprise you, but I have a texture problem.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the worst thing. I don't know if I got a little bit of the tism, but I definitely got. I'm on a spectrum of something somewhere.
No, okay.
And I have a huge texture problem, like wet bread. I can't do like just thinking about it. Like there's people that will have breadsticks
like
and dip it in
July
stuff.
Hot dog things where they dip.
There's people that have like breadsticks.
You should see John
And
right
dip
now.
it in sauce or something. Like, why would you ever want that?
Oh
or like,
my
I
God.
love cereal, but cereal's got a 10-second lifespan in my house. Like, if it is
Really?
in the
What?
bowl, if it starts to get soggy, it's done. And
No.
Okay, if I have
Stop.
this is how bad it is, Travis. If I have
Stop.
a bowl of cereal and it's soggy, I can't even I have to have someone else get rid of it. Because, like, I can't dump it. Like, I can't see that happen.
Wait,
I can't.
hold on. Let me ask you a question before we get into this too much. What type of cereal do you typically eat?
My favorite is Honey Smacks.
Okay.
I
all right.
love Pops, Cocoa Pebbles, but Cocoa Pebbles are dangerous.
Yeah. But you don't like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or anything like that?
I do love Cinnamon Toast Crunch
Okay.
as well, but it's got to be like, you got to fucking go in there with intention.
But because between Cinnamon Toast Crunch and Captain Crunch, which I love, you kind of have to you'll cut the inside of your mouth.
No.
You'll cut the inside of your mouth.
No. I'd rather slice and dice in there.
What?
Yeah, dude. No, it can't be soggy. It cannot.
What?
I cannot function physically. It'll shut me down. You know how you said when space gets too complicated, you do a reset?
Yeah.
I can't. My whole body just goes.
But, okay, so then how do you do this? You just put less milk into your cereal and you just eat, there's just a lot more cereal than milk?
No, you just eat really fast.
Okay, do you drink the milk after? Because it's usually really tasty.
It depends. First of all, I eat every bit. So, like, I eat all fast in every piece. And if there's no floaties in there, I will drink the milk, sure.
Okay.
If there's floaties, you're done. No.
Floaties?
Nah, can't do that. So because of my texture issues, if I find something, like there are people that know that about me, but that means if I find something to eat that vibes with me, I will just eat that one thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day until I'm sick of it, until I find another new thing. And sometimes my favorite food in the whole world is ice cream. And when do you know what Halo Top is?
Yes, that's good.
So I lost a shit ton of weight.
Yeah.
And in the process, I just accepted I can't have my favorite food anymore. Ice cream is out. Because even if I think about it, it's 1,000 calories. And that doesn't fit into anyone's calorie budget.
Right.
And then I found the greatest scientific experiment known to man, Halo Top ice cream. I don't know how they do it. I don't care how they do it. I don't care if it's cement. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care how they made it. All I know is it tastes and it feels like ice cream, and it's 360 calories. And I can have a pint of that every day. So when I first discovered that, dude, I would wake up, have a pint of ice cream for breakfast, and then have ice cream again for lunch, and then for dinner have a pint of ice cream.
What?
I'm not a real adult. There's no one that can stop. You guys are just jealous you can't have fucking ice cream for dinner. That's on you, not on me, all right? I can have ice cream for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and you want to be like, oh, that's messed up. Why?
John, the fuck are you talking about?
What? You guys are just jealous that you aren't that you guys have to have, like, you have to plan dinner. I just have to go pop the top of that Halo Top, and boom, delicious.
Holy
and
shit.
ice cream never gets soggy.
So then you didn't ever eat it so much that you didn't want it anymore.
Oh no. Ice cream, I could eat the same ice cream every day, and it'll be like discovering it for the first time every time.
Look, there's a couple of places out here that do like a gourmet ice cream. If you're ever out in the Seattle area, I'll blow your mind for sure.
Dude.
Like stuff that would blow your mind.
Goodness. I would do so many things for that.
All right, this has been incredible. Thank you so much, Sean, for joining me and talking about things that don't make any kind of sense.
What an emotional roller coaster.
We've been all through it. We've been all through it. And as a friend...
thanks for having me on your first episode. It feels great.
No, this was great. This is wonderful. Obviously, of the timing of this, I was just thinking about. I'm like, I can't release it this week. It's all Apple week. Ain't no one gonna give a shit about this. So I gotta wait like a week to release this because it's all Apple shit from the next week. But thank you so much. Obviously,
thank you for having me and spending time.
If you ever
with me.
want to come back on and talk about just weird shit, I'm always going to be around.
I'll be on the second episode. I don't give a shit. I just said when I find something I like, I'll just back to back to back to back.
We'll have a breakfast episode tomorrow.
Hell yeah, I'll get my ice cream.
All right, well, this is the MCP Cast, of course. If you're on YouTube, I have no idea if I'm ever going to upload another one of these again. There'll be a link to the audio version, which will always be at Wareham. And thanks for coming on by. I'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.